Do you have a student that's been doing what they're supposed to do and they're actually ready to play college ball? Have they been playing on the showcase team and recruiters in the areas, they see them, but you still really don't know exactly what the recruiters are looking for? Well, that's what we was going to talk about today, but life happens. Life happens to all of us. Our recruiter, he had an emergency, Facebook Live, life is still going on. And I mean, it is what it is. So he had an emergency, so we won't be able to deep dive into that, but we'll be able to email him and talk to him later to answer all of your questions. So if you have any questions about recruiting, put it in the chat while we're talking, or you can email us when it's over with, and we'll make sure we still answer your questions because this is very important. And you still can get firsthand information from a recruiter. So we decided what an opportunity for us to rehash what we've already talked about, because we've talked about a lot and we've given you a lot of good information. So we're going to use this time to kind of rehash and revisit the things that we talk about. And guess what we're going to do at the end? We're going to tell you what little bit we know about recruiting. But no, we're not the expert, but we know a little bit, and we're going to share that with you. So LaTasha, share with our viewers first who you are and how they can get in contact with you, because I'm pretty sure we're going to get some emails this time about recruiting.
Well, again, I am LaTasha Sly. I am the owner of Sly Education and the host of the Sly Ed Experience podcast. And I am a coach and consultant of education. And I specialize in athletics and also academics, of course, for my youth. And I'm excited to be here. Another great episode. Here we go.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's start off with education, because that was one of the things we talked about first. So share with the audience and the parents and the students, what sort of things should they be focusing on? What sort of things that should they be doing as they prepare for the next level?
Right. So it's one of those things we've talked about, this whole entire month, and we've had really deep conversations regarding, again, know your student. We've talked about not pushing too hard, right? But what we need to focus on mostly is planning, and conversations that we want to make sure we have with our student. Again, we talked about the making the college list. We talked, your reach schools, your target schools, and your safeties, and what the importance of actually, doing these things are. And when it comes down to selecting schools, you're going to go visit before you actually commit. You don't want to commit when you haven't actually done your due diligence, because again, as a student, we can get lost in the process. But even so, even as a parent, we want to make sure we're having the right conversations with the right staff members, your admissions advisor and the financial aid advisor. And if you're an athlete, then of course your coaches. What are the environments like? What are some of the safety issues? You want to have those conversations as a parent for your own sanity. You don't want to be stressed out, worried about doing any of this at the last minute, right? So if we set our students up for success, we are successful parents. So again, making that list, doing college visits, following up, having a resume. You have an academic resume when you actually sit down and submit things, a portfolio as an athlete. Having a portfolio is imperative. You want to let them know what you've done, your accomplishments, your sports, and your positions that you've played, and if you're playing multiple sports. Because again, you may think you're playing basketball, but if you can get you a scholarship playing lacrosse, as a parent, I'm going to tell you now, lacrosse is where it's going to be if it's 100% scholarship. Right? So if you're an all out, an all around athlete, those type of things are important, because now the coach is actually seeing a wide range from you. And parents, we don't want to just be talking. We don't want to do all the conversating when it comes down to our kids. We want them to be upfront, be very personable, build their confidence, have their self-esteem, right? We talked about that as well. Just making sure that, because out of our presence, they have to learn how to, communicate, and they can't be too timid, because you don't want to be afraid that they're not going to show up for themselves. They want to be able to have those conversations, right? And then even before then, the high school counselor, we talked about that, college readiness. Some schools have these college readiness programs, and it comes down to the fact of one, high school counselor to maybe 300 students or more right now because of, the pandemic, and we're making transitions and, all those type of things. However, you still want to meet with your college counselor. If you're not getting what you need, an actual consultant, an education consultant, sit down, 30 minutes free consultation to basically say, this is what I'm looking for my student. And they can basically give you guides. You can do it yourself, and understand that high school counselors do not have the time to physically sit with your student the way a consultant can. We want to get to know your student. What are their pros and cons, or their personality traits? What are they good at? Are they good at writing? What are the SAT scores? Those type of things are imperative when it comes down to building a relationship with not only the parent, but most important, our student. Because granted, the client is still the parent, but we're working with the student, right?
That's awesome. And then one thing you said that I want to elaborate on, which was really super, that the counselors, they have all of these students that they're responsible for. So it's important for the parents to be hands-on. Now, this is something that the child, although you may have a good child, the child is on top of things. This is new. So they're learning, they're trying to figure out how to navigate through this, just like you're learning, you're trying to navigate through this. Sometime, and I've had a couple of parents tell me this, where it's the guidance counselor responsibility to make sure that they're doing what they need to do and they're getting the information that they need to get. Yes, that's true. But they have this huge caseload. And you don't want your child to get lost in the shuffle of things. So if you don't want your child to get lost and you want your child to be successful, you want to be a hands-on parent. So this is kind of one of those situations, not necessarily a right or wrong. It's just the counselors are just overwhelmed. And like LaTasha said, this is where a consultant would come in place, because consultants, they can control their caseloads. So they control the number of people that they work with one-on-one, and they always work with a number where they know they can give 100% to everyone. And the caseloads are not big like the counselors. So be a hands-on parent. Seek out help if the counselor is not getting everything that you need, and then just know they're doing the very best that they can, and know that there's other resources that are available to you. So thank you for sharing that. That was very good information.
Absolutely. And two, again, the NCAA, we talked about that, and the NAIA, I already said that, NAIA, and the associations with those particular organizations when it comes down to sports, right? We want to make sure that you're meeting the requirements and the rules and regulations, because everything changes from year to year. So you want to make sure that you're on those sites, knowing exactly what schools to look for. Are these schools a part of these particular associations? You know the difference between your Division 1, 2, and 3 schools. Not Division 3 schools, not all schools actually cover sport athleticism as far as the scholarship is concerned. So you have to know that when you're actually selecting these schools as well. If you're doing it just as a hobby, knowing those type of things, okay, I still want to play sports, but just as a hobby, it doesn't have to be an actual scholarship. It can be an academic scholarship. So a Division 3 school would benefit you if you're just looking for an academic scholarship versus an athletic scholarship. So there's a difference within that as well.
Awesome. Now, I know we didn't have time to look this up, but off the top of your head, do you know any of the NCAA rules that kind of typically get broken when a student is in high school that they should kind of be on the lookout for to not do?
Well, of course, right now, you know that they've changed that rule that high school kids can actually get paid, right? So you don't want to start having conversations with recruiters and coaches too early in, because it can get you into a lot of trouble. And that's on both of the associations. So you're making sure that you're not gift giving or receiving gifts or taking dinners, or um, you know, they're not paying a bill. All of these things matter, because they can strip all of this away from you. So you want to make sure that you're following the rules, so you actually have a better opportunity when it comes down to communicating effectively and at the right time, at the right moment.
Awesome. And then students, this is for you. If something feel, and I'm saying feel, if it feel like it's not quite right, just hold off. Tell them you need to check with your parents, or tell them you need to check with your coach. It's okay, because if it's legit and it's an okay thing to do, they'll wait. They'll be waiting on you when you come back to talk to them. So pay attention to how things feel. And if something just sounds too good to be true, believe me, it's too good to be true. So don't be afraid to let the recruiter know, hey, I need to check with my mom, my dad, I need to check with the coach. And like I said, if it's legit, it would be there the next day or the next week. So don't feel pressure to do anything because you don't want to jeopardize your opportunities on any level.
Right.
Still in the recruiting realm. Okay, we're going to see what we know, right, about recruiting. Now, one of the things that I know from my brother, because he's a coach, he's also a referee, and he's coached many students. And he always told me that one thing that they don't realize is the recruiters are looking at them while they're playing. So whatever they're doing while they're playing, it's going to carry over to what they think may happen if they get recruited. So if you have a bad attitude on the court, that may be your first time having a bad attitude. But if it just so happens the recruiter is there, they're going to interpret that as, oh, this person may be trouble, or this person is not coachable. And they don't want to take a chance. They don't want to take a chance because there's so many more people to choose from that they don't have to take a chance on you. So just know that you want to make every game. Don't be selective. Oh, I think recruiters will be here, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I think no. You want to play every game like you're playing the championship game. Even set aside the recruiter part. Play every game like you're playing a championship game, because if you play like that, whether the recruiter is there or not, you're always going to be on your A game and you're always going to look good. Recruiters are looking for people that's easy because that's what they want to do. They want to win championships. So be mindful of your attitude and be mindful of whether you're coachable and how you respond to the coach. So that's one thing I know they be looking for. What do you have, LaTasha?
I definitely agree. That's a strong one though, right? Because no coach wants to have a knucklehead on their team, right? If you can't follow rules and make sure that you are now it's not an I, it's about the team. So you can't just be wilding out. But show up the right way. It's almost like a job interview. This is your first job interview, right? And they're going to see you first. And well, hopefully they'll speak to you at some point before that. But they want to make sure that you have a knowledge of the game, you're moving well, and how well you're playing, including your teammates when it comes down to actually playing the sports. Bad sportsmanship is a no for, I think it's just for everybody. Right? But more so your mindset, because if you are someone that is if you're a varsity player, you're getting ready to come out of school, they want to make sure that you can handle pressure, especially if it comes down to things are not going to always be your way. The game is tight. How can we, get together, make sure that you're doing the right things for your teammates? What is the collaboration on the court with your coach? So they look at those things as well. Because if you're sitting there on the sideline throwing a tantrum, as you stated, with your arms folded, you're kicking your feet, it just doesn't look well. So be a leader, even if you're not the person that always have the ball. Be someone that's a motivator. You can see these things happening on the court. And two, remember what the coach last week, Coach Brown says, the recruiters are going to come to the coaches first. So that relationship has to be where it needs to be before you even get an opportunity at the school. So you want to take those things into consideration.
Wonderful. LaTasha, let's see if we can come up with two more. We're going to stretch ourselves. I'm going to come up with one more, then you're going to come up with one more. Okay. So grades are very important. So although the focus is on the athletics and the sport, if you don't have the GPA to get into college, then it's no need to be recruited. So the recruiters are looking at that on the front end too. So you want to make sure that you keep your grades up all 4 years while you're in high school. Actually, forever in high school. Don't just wait till you get to high school to start doing well. Keep your grades up all the time. But those last few years is what the recruiters are looking for. So you want to make sure that you have a good GPA, and don't just go for C's, because C's won't cut it in most places. One of my taglines is soar to the top. The bottom is overcrowded. All the C people are on the bottom. Okay. A C is okay. A C is average, but there's so many average people till you definitely won't make the cut. So aim for that A, if you don't make the A, you'll probably get a B plus, that's cool too. But you want to make sure you have a very high GPA because it's very, very competitive out there. All right, LaTasha, what's the last thing we're going to share with them about recruiting?
Again, how well do you know the game, right? And even technical ability. Is the player actually comfortable with the ball and the techniques of actually knowing what to do when you actually show up on the court? So we want to make sure that you're just not being there just to be there. And it's fun, yes, but you have to know the game. Whatever you're playing, they want to know that you actually have the technical skills and that you're understanding what you're doing. Because when it comes down to having that conversation, then you'll be able to, elaborate a little bit more about the positions and not just yourself, but your teammates as well. And two, when it comes down to, technicality, it's all about being able to be flexible, right? During the time that you need to be flexible.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is some great information. And like I shared with you in the beginning, we have a college recruiter on our team. So if you have questions, get it to LaTasha or myself, and we'll make sure we get it directly to the recruiter and he will respond. So you will be getting information from him as well. So as we close out, LaTasha, I would like for you to give us our closing words and tell the viewers again how they can get in contact with you, because LaTasha is a good person to connect with if you're just trying to navigate your way through this. And as we have shared before, it's just so much. It's so much, and you don't have to do it alone. So LaTasha, back to you.
I love what you just said. Don't do it alone. You don't have to go through this whole process. Again, I want to stress the fact of number one, don't make it about you, parents. Do make it about your student. Don't speak on their behalf. Motivate your student to communicate with your coaches and your administrator. Don't write the introduction letters for them. Make sure they write it for themselves. And two, before you hit submit, make sure you always edit everything. Make sure of that, okay? Two, again, we talked about mindset, making sure you have a healthy mindset. And I, as a consultant, make sure I save you time, I save you money, I save you stress, because that way you know that little Billy or Miss Melissa or your student actually gets the one-on-one that they need specifically for your student. A consultant does exactly that. It's not a checklist when it comes down to someone that really wants to know and help you and your student. But most importantly, it's relationship building on both ends of the spectrum. So don't sit in, in confusion. Just make sure that you get the help that you need. I am LaTasha Sly with Sly Education. You can go to slyeducation.com. You can email me at slyeducation1@gmail.com as well. Go to my website and we can schedule a meeting, a consultation, or you can also find me on Facebook as well, or Dr. Coffey.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, LaTasha, for joining me this month. This has been awesome. And we will be getting together again for another series. And if you all have any suggestions or anything that you particularly want to hear about, you can email LaTasha on that, and we'll put a platform together and we'll do that for you as well. So until next time, bye for now.